Welcome, everybody, back to the Dr. Nobody podcast. I want to say thank you very, very much, all you listeners, for season one. I would like to officially announce that this is the last episode for season one, and it has been an incredible, incredible journey. This is a short episode. Just want to go through some information, some announcements, logistics, things like that. But first, some transparency. So, how did the podcast do after, I think, 6 months that it has been out? I am close to 1,000 downloads throughout different platforms for this podcast, which for me is a lot. And technically, it is a lot. So, I'm really, really, really happy about that. So, thank you very much, listeners, for that. I'm averaging around 60 to 70 something unique downloads per episode. So these are different people who are downloading the episode or listening to the episode. It's not counting towards if that person stopped halfway and then went back and listened to it again at a different point. These are unique people that are clicking on the podcast and listening to it. So that's amazing. So I appreciate that. But yes, there's definitely people that are listening to the episodes multiple times. And people have told me this personally. So that's great. Taking notes and taking all the insights they could possibly get. So thank you. So we totaled 21 episodes, averaging around 40 to 50 minutes. 13 guests were interviewed, and I want to thank all my guests that came on to the podcast. They were incredible, and they were basically the guinea pigs for this podcast. It's so nice that they gave me a chance. So, I'm very appreciative to them all. I have no podcasting experience, and this is putting them out in the intranet and risking their lives. JK, we weren't talking stuff like that. But, it's just, there has been people that have told me that they're unsure. Even people that say, you have no podcast experience, when you have some more, get back to me. And I was like, okay. And 6 months later, here we are. So maybe I'll ask that person. We'll see. $25 were spent on advertising, and that was on Facebook. Everything else on this podcast has been organic growth and word of mouth. So thank you for that as well, listeners. That's very unique. I've made zero money off this podcast, and I don't intend to make money off this podcast. I mean, if you want to donate, that's totally fine, but that was not the goal of this podcast. That's why you hear no advertisements as well, because that's not what I want. And it also, when I listen to podcasts, that's annoying. Like, it's an hour podcast and you have 30 ads in there, for 5 seconds or 30 seconds, whatever it is. It's very annoying, but I'm going to keep up with that. I've gotten really great responses from people. I have people that texted me. I have people that have called me. I have people that emailed me or wrote on the website. Great feedback has been given for season 2. There will be some changes, but I thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it, and definitely some testimonials. That's something that I was hoping for, but it's also amazing to have now, where people have told me what this podcast has done for them in their lives, how they've already made changes, motivated by it. They look at my story and what I've been through, and they're basically saying, if Dr. Nobody can do it, then I can do it. That's not what I want to people to think. I that's really humbling. I thank you for that. But, I want you to find the power within to do what you need to do. Everybody's in a unique situation. Everybody's at different levels, so, there it is. What was the theme for this season? So I looked at the website. I looked at my notes. I was trying to remember what people were talking about. I even got, some things on the website that people had sent me, and I picked up some themes that I wanted to share with you. So first, hard work. Very consistently, almost everybody, some way, shape, or form, was hard work, and that holds true. Like, I really feel strongly about hard work. You got to put the work in. You can't depend on other people to do things for you. I hear all the time that people are just hoping that their boss helps them out, or they get an opportunity, but you got to put the hard work in to get those promotions, to get those opportunities. Showcase yourself, take that new step that you've never taken before into a new domain that you've never done. Like me for coding, like I'm a medical person, but took the step into coding and I started learning how to code and design. And here I am. I created my own website from scratch. Like I did that completely on my own, and this podcast as well, completely on my own, and editing the audio on my own. Uh, Consistently passion. You have to have a passion. If you don't have a passion for what you're doing, reassess. You should love to go to work. You should be happy. Yeah, it sucked. You got to go to work, whatever. Yeah, there's going to be days where you're frustrated, but I love my job and you should love your job too. If you don't, start talking to people, start learning, start Googling things or watching videos, see if there's another passion out there for you. Surrounding yourself with the right people, so important. Now, it could be successful people so they can get you that next level. It could be people that make you laugh so that you don't go crazy. And it could be people, just your family and friends. And that's okay. As long as you're surrounding yourself with the right people to help you, that's the goal. Mentorship. You probably heard mentorship in almost all the episodes. It's so important. Now, advisors and mentors or instructors or whatever you want to call them, they're all a little bit different, but mentors are the ones that are investing their time, effort, their life for you. So you got to find those people who care that much to do that for you. Now, it may not be so easy to find these mentors, but over time you will identify them. Some are just like, bam, right there. They want to do that mentorship, and some it takes time, and that's okay. So, and hey, maybe eventually you'll be a mentor and you'll learn from those, from their good things and from their bad things. Hobbies. Oh, please find a hobby. If you don't have a hobby, you need to stay sane. Okay. Working 8, 10, 12-hour shifts is not good for you. You have to do something on the side, go out, be a foodie, go build something, go plant something, whatever it is. Just take care of yourself and set up goals. Goals are vital. If you don't set up goals, you're probably always going to procrastinate or you're not going to get it done. It's always going to be like tomorrow, just like everything else, right? Like trying to lose weight or eat better or finish that one project. Just set up a goal. It's very simple. And also it motivates you. Um, like, a goal, clean up your room, maybe do work at it for like an hour and then 30 minutes do something else. That's always what I tell people all the time. If you're studying or doing some type of project, do it for an hour or 2 hours and then have that time, whatever you did, and do something else. So something that makes you happy. So if it's going outside and get a tan, go do that for 30 minutes if you spent an hour studying or something. Give your mind a break. Studying or preparing or reading, whatever it is, it's not. Maybe some people are fine. Maybe they could do it for 2, 3, 4 hours straight with no break. That's great. Good for you. But that's not most of us. Like me, I need a break and I need time. And finally, never let imposter syndrome or anyone hold you back. If my story has not proven that, you have to go back and listen to the episodes again. And some people have said that in this podcast as well. Definitely don't let anyone hold you back. You're the governor of your own journey and success. You have to take it by the horns and capitalize on everything you have out there and all the opportunities. It may not come so easy for some people. It may take time, and maybe your personality holds you back a little bit. But just keep in mind, there's other people with the same issues out there and they made it. Okay. So you can do it as well. Don't let anyone hold you back. And in transitioning a little bit, I am officially calling on all nobodies for season 2. If you're interested in coming on the podcast, hit me up, send me a text, call me, email me, message me, however you want to get a hold of me. Let's talk. Let's talk about it. I usually set up a pre-interview with people just to see what the topic is, what they're interested in, why they should be on the podcast. Yeah, and I want to start bringing in more diverse backgrounds. I know it probably was a little more heavy on the marketing side because A lot of people from my job wanted to support me, but hey, you're learning about a new industry. Maybe next season I'll try to mix it up a little bit more. But yeah, if you're interested, please message me. A lot of people were very shy going on this podcast. I'll tell you, I made a lot of heavy edits for some people because in the beginning it was so hard during the interviews. And I'm sure some of you probably picked up on people's nervousness in the beginning. And that usually lasts about 5-10 minutes. After the third question I ask, people are just so comfortable. They forget about that it's a podcast and it's just a conversation. It's fun. I promise you, if I get feedback from every single interviewer that's been on here so far, fun is 100% the theme between the topic and theme of the podcast for them. So what did I learn from this? What is my personal experience? It was so important to tell my story. It really was. I personally feel so much better mentally because I can move on from everything that I've experienced in my life, from my graduate experience, from undergrad or whatever, high school bullying, and even just my own personal experiences with my parents and everything that I've gone through. I feel a lot better. And yeah, I could have probably gone to a therapist and just talked to him, but this was the means that I wanted to go about it and tell my story. And if you're interested in telling your story, do it the same way. It's different. It's definitely different. And it's made me feel so much better. I feel so much happier. I don't feel that hindrance anymore. Um, so my story is out there and it's to help people. It was always to help people who feel it's just impossible for them or the odds are against them or just frustrated. And I'm glad that people have told me that things have changed in their lives because of my story. And that's what my goal is. It's to change people's lives. And I hope the people that I interviewed also change your life. Maybe it's not my life that would influence you. Maybe it was another person that I interviewed that their story was so unique that you really had to, you know, put the foot down and be like, I have to change. I have to do something. And I love doing this. This is fun. This really is fun. I know people probably think it's weird just talking to yourself. I have no camera in front of me. I don't see anybody. I'm just literally staring at my mic right now while I'm talking to you all. And that's fine with me. I think it's just part of my background. I just love talking. I'm Hispanic, so I love just jabbering on. But it took time to get used to this. So it is a little barrier, but I love it. This is fun. And that's because since I was little, I also like to talk to people. I love to learn about people, their lives, what makes them tick, like what do they do in their lives? And I don't know, just things like that. And I have a passion for that. I also learned audio editing, which was quite a barrier. I almost paid, I mean, I wouldn't have done it because it was so insanely expensive, but I was getting quotes for people to edit my podcast, and it was like $250 to $450 an hour to do my podcast. And then, you know, obviously I set my goals. I overcame the barrier. I read a whole book on Adobe Audition. That's the program I use. And I got proficient. I'm not an expert. There's a lot of issues that I still don't know how to fix, but it is what it is. It's not a multi-million dollar podcast thing. It's a $25 podcast that I've set up. And I'm getting better at writing, especially scripts. And I've definitely improved my coding and website design and creation techniques. So, there's things that are great about this. And I'm sure the people that I have interviewed on this podcast can say that their personal skills have gotten better too. Just talking to other people and being asked questions and thinking on the fly. There's things that you gain from this. I've gained plenty of insights throughout my interviews too. A lot of the questions, just so you all know, the interviewees did get a set of questions, but only 2 or 3 of those questions were actually asked. I actually just spitball with them as they were going. So I built my questions based on what they would say to me or to you all. And I just was just going back and forth with them. So a lot of the questions, they had no idea what I was going to ask them. And that was cool. I really appreciate them playing game with me with that. And I have such a really cool announcement. A couple weeks ago, I was notified that I had won an award, and I had no idea about this award. The award's called the Clio, And if you watched this is because my brother and my sister-in-law both said this to me, and I totally forgot. But in Mad Men, the show, it's about marketing advertising. They have like this award ceremony called the Clios. And I was like, I don't remember that. And then I watched it again. I was like, oh yeah. So the Clios are basically the highest honor you can get in marketing and advertising, one of the highest honors. And being awarded is like game changing, life changing. And I won. I won a Clio. It's called the Health Innovator of the Year Clio, basically. And part of the reason why I won was this podcast. I would assume that they listened in. I did see a spike in some of my episodes that I noticed around the time that this was going on, after I knew about the award. And it was such a cool thing. It was such a unique feeling that I just couldn't explain to you. What does it mean to win this Clio for me? My whole life, I mean, you've heard it. It's been so hard, and to win this Clio, it solidifies everything I've ever done. From the moment that I decided to do science to the moment I accepted my job here at Neon, this is what it amounted to. All the pain, literal suffering, uh, the tears, the joy at some instances, happiness, all accumulated to this one moment, winning the Clio. So thank you all for making this happen. Definitely, it's the biggest thing that's ever happened besides marrying my wife and having, my wife having my child. It's the third biggest thing that's ever happened in my life, and I appreciate it very much. And it wouldn't be possible without all you listeners. So thank you. So wrapping up with this, I am taking a break between seasons to recover, to be honest. This podcasting is a lot of effort, and I kind of underestimated, and I think I've said this a couple times. So I need to really recover and just relax a little bit and not worry about if the episode's going to be out on time, editing and whatever. I also need to prepare. I need time to prepare. The I took 3 months before launching the podcast itself. So I took time, I did the interviews, I prepared things. So now that I know how it goes, it might not take 3 months, maybe it'll take like 2 months or 1 month. But yeah, just taking a break. And I have other projects going on that I need to focus on. Like I might be going back to school for a little bit, just for a short stint. And then I should be back. I want to thank you all once again. I want to thank all the people that have supported me personally, that helped me through these um, 10 months that I've been doing this podcast. From the moment that I came up with the idea and to the end, which is this episode. I want to specifically thank my wife. She has been such an incredible woman and support person for me. She has been my rock. I'm telling you all, this podcast has been hard on me, telling my story and hearing other people's stories. Like, it's emotionally draining. But she's always been there for me and supported me and voice of reason and, guiding me on how to do certain things and giving me suggestions. So I really appreciate her and the prayers from her to get me through my story and the season. So thank you very much. I love you. So thank you again all for listening in, and everything you've done to make this possible. I hope you've gained plenty of insights today. This is the beginning of becoming a someone, but specifically the someone you always wanted to be. I hope you enjoyed this episode or any of the episodes that I have. But remember, I always say this, please do give me a like, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Also share it. Please share it. And I'll tell you why. This is the in-between season, basically between my season 1 and season 2. And I'm not going to be posting much in between. And I need it to still grow. I still need people to listen in and share it. And please, if you do share it, tag me, tag the episode, tag the podcast. It really helps with the algorithm and helps keep my podcast alive. So when I come back in a couple months, there's not a bunch of cobwebs on this podcast and I have to start all the algorithms all over again. If you could do that for me, I would so massively, greatly, immensely, whatever big word I can fill in, I would immensely appreciate it. You can also visit my website, the drnobodypodcast.com, to learn more about my guests that I had and listen to all those episodes at any time. And there's so much more on there as well. Thanks again for listening to the Dr. Nobody podcast. I hope I have helped you all in some way, shape, or form. The Dr. Nobody podcast, where we turn nobodies to somebody. Talk to you all very soon.